Hi, welcome to the webinar. Today's presentation topic is social cognitive career theory, variables as mediators of the relationship between deep learning and goal persistence in African American students with disabilities. This presentation is made possible with support from a field-initiated research project at the Department of Rehabilitation and Disability Studies, Southern University, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, USA. The project was funded by the National Institute on Disability, Independent Living, and Rehabilitation Research, US Department of Health and Human Services, Washington, DC. The ideas and opinions and conclusion expressed in this presentation are those of the presenters. They do not represent recommendations, endorsements, and the policy of the US Department of Health and Human Resources policy. We want to express our sincere appreciation to Ms. Shelley Reeves, Project Officer of National Institute of Disability, Independent Living and Rehabilitation Research, for her guidance and support in implementing the project. As a chair of the department, Dr. Alodata approached me to write a proposal utilizing claim pedagogy for our African American students with disabilities. I asked her what claim pedagogy is and will it work for our racial ethnic minority students with disabilities? She already studied about it. I had to research this pedagogy, and then we developed a proposal entitled Cooperative Learning and Individualized Mentoring, in abbreviation CLAIM, proposal to build self-efficacy, persistence, and goal attainment in post-secondary African American students with disabilities, a mixed method approach. We owe our gratitude to Dr. Alodata, who has sensitivity, vision, creativity, and worked diligently to develop the proposal, and we received the funding. Unfortunately, our passionate researcher, Dr. Alodata, died on June 29, 2018, after battling with cancer. Please allow me to say a few words about her dedication to the field of rehabilitation. She was an outstanding researcher, a prolific grant writer, and a visionary leader in vocational rehabilitation. She was the principal investigator and or project director of 11 training, research, capacity building, and technical assistance center grants. Also served as co-PI, associate project director of 9 other grants. Jointly, we secured funding of about $31 million. She was a guest reviewer of 10 journals, published 50 reference journal articles, made 80 presentations, and received 15 awards and recognition. She was an excellent teacher and taught research methods and statistics. She used to hold extra classes on Fridays for those who need help in statistics and research methodology. She was very student focused. We wrote training grants to receive scholarship that will allow our economically disadvantaged students to study and earn a degree to move ahead in their lives. Dr. Datta was a team player, and we collaborated in writing grants, research, and publication. She was quiet, smart, creative, diligent, productive, reliable, and very dedicated. She was my student and a colleague. I'm blessed that I had the opportunity to work with her. Dr. Datta will have a special place in our students' and colleagues' hearts as she has touched many lives. Recognizing her contribution and dedication to rehabilitation, the National Council on Rehabilitation Education has established the Dr. Alodata Memorial Scholarship Fund. The scholarship annually recognizes an outstanding doctoral dissertation in the country. I am pleased to inform you that Dr. Kanako Yanaga, our presenter today, was the first recipient of this award in April 2019. Recently, Dr. Datta was recognized posthumously by the National Association of Rehabilitation Research and Technical Assistance Center with a commendation award for her contribution to the field of rehabilitation. We pray that her soul rest in peace with him, the Almighty. The project outcomes have significant implication for people with disabilities of racial ethnic minority backgrounds, especially for the most vulnerable, economically disadvantaged, and those who live in rural and remote locations. Also, I want to express our gratitude to Dr. Fong Chen, the methodologist of the University of Wisconsin-Madison, for his guidance throughout the proposal's development and implementation. Today, three of us will make this presentation. I am Dr. Madan Kundu, who serves as a chair and professor of the Department of Rehabilitation and Disability Studies at Southern University. I also serve as a co-principal investigator and currently serve as a principal investigator of the project. Dr. Kanako Yanaga, she's an assistant professor at the Virginia Commonwealth University, and Dr. Elizabeth Cardoso, chair and professor, Hunter College, City University of New York. Unemployment and poverty of income inequality are the significant cause of human suffering among people with and without disabilities. Unemployment, poverty, and income equality are significant causes of human suffering among people with or without disabilities. Unemployment increases the risk of poverty and contributes to the income inequality. Psychosocial consequences of poverty and unemployment lead to depression, anxiety for food insecurity, medical, transportation, and childcare needs. Research indicates strong evidence to support that unemployment leads to domestic violence due to miscommunication and misunderstanding among family members, spouses, and children. Drug use, alcohol and substance abuse, and maintaining social relationships. So people with lower income reports poor health, higher risk for illness and injury. A significant reason for health disparities among racial ethnic minority groups. Also, you are either an in-group or out-group in society or social status. Friends and relatives do not invite you to a party or social gathering. Employment is the key issue. The employment to population ratio of 18.7% for people with disabilities is significantly lower than 65.6% for people without disabilities. So there's a significant difference of 47.4% people with and without disabilities. That's very important. And the poverty rate of 21.2% for people with disabilities is significantly higher than 13.8% for people without disabilities. So there is a difference between difference of 7.4%. The people with disabilities face many barriers. Among them, having a disability is one barrier. Having a disability and being a person of color makes it double barriers. Having a disability, being a person of color, and a woman is triple barriers. The high prevalence of mental illness and secondary health problems due to unemployment and poverty is a significant public health concern. Employment is being increasingly considered a rehabilitation and public health intervention for people with disabilities. Now look at it, lifetime earnings soar with education. That means higher the education, your earnings are better. high school diploma, a high school graduate can expect an average of 1.2 million in their lifetime income. And a bachelor's degree can expect to earn 2.1 million over a lifetime. The average value of a four-year degree increases earning or income by $900,000, almost $1 million. And a master's degree, people with a degree earn $2.5 million. So that means master's degree is worth an average of $1.3 million more than a high school diploma. So that means master's degree is worth about $400,000 more than the bachelor's degree in additional lifetime income. Doctoral degree earns an average of 3.4 million during working life. So that means people with doctoral degree earn 2.2 million more than a high school graduate and 1.3 million more than people with bachelor's degree and 900,000 more than a person with master's degree. Professional degree, those with MD, JD, or medicine and jurisprudence, to the best with an average of 4.4 million in lifetime earnings. So if you analyze it, you can see the people who have earned professional degree can expect 3.2 million more than a person with only a high school diploma, and 2.3 million more than a person with a bachelor degree, and 1.9 million more than average of master's degree holder. So this data are a little old, but this is the latest available. But you can look into the US Department of Labor 2019 National Occupational Employment Wage Estimate, and you'll see the latest data. Now let's have another look at unemployment rates and earnings by educational attainment. This data is from the current population survey by the US Department of Labor Statistics in 2019. The data represents who are 25 or older, full-time and salaried workers. From the graph, it is clear that higher the education and lower the unemployment rate. That's on the left column, lower the unemployment rate. And higher the income, it says median usual weekly earnings. Who is most affected during the economic recession, downturn of economy, natural calamity, and COVID-19 pandemics, for example? The people who are less educated. In the continually changing world of work, influenced by information highway and technology, to live a better life in the 21st century, we all need to have multiple skills, degrees, expertise, and diversified knowledge to survive. Flipping a hamburger at McDonald's and getting married to a high school sweetheart will not guarantee a full economic wage to survive in this century. Look at another graph here, synthetic work-life earnings for gender, race, ethnicity group by educational level. So it starts with white male, then Asian male, other male, black male, and Hispanic female. So that means from 9 to 8th grade, 9 to 12th grade, high school, some college, associate degree, bachelor's degree, master's, doctoral, and professional degree. And you can see how they're earning power. For females, look at Asian female, then comes white female, other female, black female, and Hispanic female. So something to pay attention here, that the level of earnings by females in general and the impact of the glass ceilings. Asian male and female are doing better. Position of black male and female comes next, and position of Hispanic male and female. So the graph shows the difference in lifetime earnings by gender, race, ethnicity, and education level. But if we add another variable, disability, that will be a dismal picture. So this is the latest available data. However, one can extrapolate in terms of what's happening in today's society. Issues related to students with disabilities from racial ethnic minority backgrounds. The World Report on Disability by the World Health Organization indicates that the world's total population is 7 billion, including 1 billion people with disabilities, which is about 14.3% in general. However, the prevalence of disability in a country depends upon the definition and criteria used, available medical care, and resources. It is estimated that the prevalence of disability in the developing nation in Asia, Africa, or China is varying from 15 to 25%. In the United States, in 2020, there are about 331 million people, out of which about 60 million people have disabilities, which is about 18% based on the definition used by 52 different agencies in the government. In 2050, the US population will be composed of 50% white and 50% minority groups. 50% of whites are not a homogeneous group. The people who immigrates to the USA from Germany, Russia, or other European countries are white in appearance, but speak different languages, and their acculturation process is different. For example, the high school students in New York speak over 137 languages at home. So if you go to a street corner of any big cities, you will find more than 1 in 3 are the minority. So being a student with disability faces many barriers, almost quadruple barriers. As I said earlier, having a disability is a barrier, being a female is a double barrier, belonging to an ethnic group is a triple barrier, and speaking different languages is a quadruple barrier. In addition, the residence location, like in the city, urban, semi-urban, rural, or remote areas, and available resources compound those barriers. So customized training, apprenticeship, technical education, college education have established as one of the pathways to middle class earnings for students with disabilities. In 2017, education and unemployment rate for people with bachelor's degree was 2.5%. People who graduated high school without a bachelor's degree is 5.3%. People who drop out from high school was 7.7%. And again, in 2017, high school graduation rate, all high school students for the 2015-2016 school year was 83.2%. Hispanic students, 77.8%. Black students, 74.6%. Students with disabilities, 64.6%. And you can see the difference. Helping students with disabilities, especially students from racial ethnic minority backgrounds, graduate from high school and ease their transition to post-secondary education or employment should be a high priority for special education, transition specialists, accommodation specialists, and rehabilitation counselors. Now let's focus our attention with that background, that what kind of education and training that we can impart to students with disabilities or without disabilities, so that they can survive better in the world labor market. So we are talking about here deep approach to learning. There are several learning approaches: deep approach versus surface approach of learning, career development theories, for example, social cognitive career theory, that is potentially useful for educators and counselors to gain better insight into factors influencing goal persistence of college students with disabilities from racial and ethnic minority backgrounds. The deep approach to learning is a prominent learning model described in the pedagogical literature of higher education. According to Bain 2012, students who are engaging and learning the material motivated by deep interest and a sincere desire to know honestly are more successful in college and life. This intrinsic motivating factors for learning are more conducive to college success and lifelong learning than extrinsic motivation factors, such as high grades, academic awards, accolades, etc. Now let's compare surface learning approach to deep learning approach. Martin and Saldo in 1997 conducted a qualitative research study with college students and identified 6 major themes that underlie how students conceptualize the idea of learning. A quantitative increase in knowledge, memorization, acquisition of facts for subsequent use, abstraction of meaning, a process aimed at understanding reality, and developing as a person. The learning hierarchy can be classified into 2 basic approaches: quantitative, memorizing and acquisition of concepts describing a surface learning approach, and abstraction, understanding reality and development as a person, defining a deep approach. So deep approach of learning involves placing meaning on things by exploring how they fit together. There is emerging evidence to support that predominantly surface motives and strategies to learning lead to poor learning outcomes. In contrast, deeper approaches result in good college completion, employment, and lifelong learning outcomes. Some of the service learning students' characteristics are busy working in 3 jobs, do not have much time to study, get by, not interested in learning, and used to get a passing grade. They have poor learning outcomes. Whereas the deep learning students' characteristics are, they think critically and apply to the real life situation to get ahead. They have a goal in mind, a reasonable completion rate, suitable employment, good lifelong learning outcomes, and lead satisfying and quality lives. Social cognitive career theory is an extension of Albert Bandura's 1986 general social cognitive theory. It is one of the most central career development theories developed to explain how people from vocational interest sets career goals, develop self-efficacy, and intention to persist in the educational and work environments. Self-efficacy is the belief in the ability to succeed and achieve competency. Now, let us have a look at the flowchart of the social cognitive career theory. Bandura in 1986 postulated that a triadic reciprocity model could explain human behavior, that an individual's behavior determined by personal factors, behavior, and the social and physical environment. Also, Lemoine's topological theory of 1940s postulated V equals function of P and E. That means the behavior is a function of the person and the environment. There is a contextual variables in which the individual interacts. Now you can see here that personal characteristics, the predispositions, gender, race, ethnicity, disability, and health status, and your background contextual factors in where the physical and social environment person interacts, that determine their background learning experience. There are 4 different types of background learning experiences. One is performance accomplishments. Number 2, vicarious learning. 3, social persuasion. And 4, physiological arousal lead to the development of self-efficacy for a given behavior or domains of behavior. Self-efficacy influences one's career choice, level of academic performance, outcome expectancy, and goal persistence. So Cardoso and others in 2013 used a social cognitive career theory to study women and underrepresented minority students' decisions to pursue STEM discipline that stands for science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and medicine. We are pleased to have Dr. Cardoso with us today, and she will be presenting soon. So you can see from the graph, from the background learning experience, the self-efficacy expectations and how they interact with the outcome expectation and all the contextual influences proximal to the choice behavior, whatever they want to be, their interest, goals, and actions. And also we talked about where the person is in an environment. Do they live in a big city or an urban area, semi-urban area, or a rural or remote areas? So those are the contextual factors and available resources that will determine their goal expectations. What is the current vocational rehabilitation issue? The Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act of 2014 mandated the state vocational rehabilitation agencies reserve and expend at least 15% of its state allotment to pre-employment transition services to students with disabilities. The focus on students with disabilities in 9th to 12th grade and the transition to either work or post-secondary education. A majority of the students with disabilities of ethnic minority backgrounds comes from a broken home without a father figure or a role model. To help these transition students with disabilities make a smooth transition to post-secondary education, an appreciation for the deep approach to learning and successfully persisting in college is necessary. So what is the purpose of this study? To identify specific factors that influence the development of the deep approach to learning and goal persistence by evaluating 3 key social cognitive career theory constructs. 1, academic barriers, coping self-efficacy, academic milestone self-efficacy, and academic outcome expectancy as serial multiple mediators for the relationship between deep learning and goal persistence. For this, we have 2 research questions. Question 1, what is the relationship between deep learning and goal persistence? Second question, can the relationship between deep learning and goal persistence be mediated by academic barriers coping self-efficacy, academic milestone self-efficacy, and academic outcome expectancy? Now I request Dr. Kanako Yanaga to talk about research methodology and results.
Methodology. Participants consisted of 62 African American students with disabilities enrolling in a historically Black university. They self-identified as having a disability and volunteered to participate in this study. The mean age was 22 years old. Almost 65 were women. Most of them were freshmen. In terms of academic measures, more than half of them were measuring in science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and medicine. Around 20% were measuring in business. Measures. Deep approach to learning was assessed by the deep learning subscale of the revised study process questionnaire. The deep learning subscale comprised 10 items assessing 2 factors, deep strategy and deep motive. Self-efficacy was assessed with 2 scales. The 4-item academic milestone self-efficacy scale and the 7-item academic barrier coping self-efficacy scale. The academic milestone self-efficacy items asked students to indicate their confidence in completing academic requirements in their declared measures, while the academic barrier coping self-efficacy items asked students to rate their confidence in their ability to cope with various barriers that university students might experience. The 6-item academic outcome expectation scales measured outcome expectancy. Students were asked to indicate how strongly they agreed that their college degree would lead to positive outcomes, such as a job with good pay and benefits. And last, goal persistence. Goal persistence was assessed by goal persistence scale for science and technology measures. Students were asked to rate their level of agreement of 8 statements about their academic plan, such as, I will complete my college degree. Data analysis. A serial multiple mediation analysis was performed to test academic barrier coping self-efficacy, academic milestone self-efficacy, and academic outcome expectancy as a mediators of the relationship between deep learning and goal persistence in a sample of African American college students with disabilities. Data analysis. A priori power analysis was conducted using a G-Power software. This analysis suggested that a sample size of 53 would be needed to detect a medium to large effect size. The number of the participants of this study was 62, which met the suggested sample size. Results. Preliminary analysis. In the PREVENT study, variables were significantly correlated with each other. Correlation coefficient ranging from 0.31 moderate effect size to 0.64 large effect size. Serial multiple mediation analysis total effect. The R-square for the serial multiple mediation analysis models was computed to be 0.28, a large effect size. For total effect, high levels of deep learning were associated with higher levels of goal persistence. There are 4 significant direct effects. First, deep learning was directly linked to academic barrier coping self-efficacy. Second, deep learning was directly linked to academic milestone self-efficacy after controlling for academic barriers coping self-efficacy. Third, academic barriers coping self-efficacy was positively linked to academic milestone self-efficacy after controlling for the effect of deep learning. And last, academic milestone self-efficacy was directly linked to goal persistence after controlling for the effect of deep learning, academic barrier coping self-efficacy, and academic outcome expectancy. The total effect between deep learning and goal persistence was remarkably reduced after controlling for the mediator's effect, indicating that the serial multiple social cognitive career theories mediators partially mediated the effect of deep learning on goal persistence. Serial multiple mediation analysis indirect effect. The estimates of the indirect effect of deep learning and goal persistence was calculated. For example, indirect effects may be through academic barrier coping self-efficacy only, through academic milestone self-efficacy only, through academic barrier coping self-efficacy and academic outcome expectancy, or through all 3 mediators. The SPSS process procedures with 10,000 bootstrap samples revealed 3 significant indirect effects for the relationship between deep learning and goal persistence. The first one was through academic barriers coping and academic milestone self-efficacy. The second one was through academic barriers coping self-efficacy and academic outcome expectancies. The third one was through academic milestone self-efficacy only. So now, Dr. Elizabeth Cardoso will present on discussion and limitations.
Thank you. So discussion and implications. Transition to post-secondary education is important because students with disabilities are the most recently marginalized group to move towards equal education. Research studies such as Wallen and Steele 2004 and John O'Neill et al. 2014 have indicated strong empirical evidence to support that apprenticeship, vocational, and technical education in college seems to provide the best career pathways to the middle class for people with disabilities. The deep learning approach is an essential topic in the pedagogical literature of higher education. This approach emphasizes the importance of critically examining new facts and ideas, integrating them into existing thinking about the topic, and identifying multiple associations between concepts. According to the following researchers, Briggs, 1999, and Entwistle, 1998, and Houghton, 2004, the characteristics of deep learning include the following: searching for meaning, bringing together the central argument or concepts needed to solve a problem, differentiating between an argument and evidence, relating ideas to different learning modules, connecting new and previous knowledge, applying course content to real life. Surface learning approaches can be useful initially to help students with disabilities develop foundational knowledge about learning a topic before they advance to deep learning. Surface learning can be defined as accepting new facts and ideas uncritically and treating these ideas as unconnected items. Surface learning characteristics include rote learning, receiving information passively, not recognizing new content material as building from previously learned content, and learning course content only to pass an exam. In the present study, the social cognitive career theory variables partially explained a deep learning and goal persistence relationship in a sample of African-American college students with disabilities. It suggests that helping students develop strong motivation for deep learning, along with development of academic barriers, coping, self-efficacy, academic milestone self-efficacy, and academic outcome expectancy may increase students' goal persistence. Supporting deep learning approach, this present study's findings indicated that helping students with disabilities adopt the deep learning approach could significantly increase their chances of completing post-secondary education. This would increase opportunities to find a good paying job with benefits and become a lifelong learner in their career. Special educators, secondary transition specialists, accommodation specialists, and rehabilitation counselors can help students with disabilities by providing support services related to deep learning, including study skills training, time management training, and tutorial services. Supporting deep learning approach through education support. Strategies include educational support groups that provide and encourage students to be instinctively curious and about topics on their education, determined to do well and mentally engaging when doing academic work, interested in having the appropriate foundational knowledge, and able to pursue diverse interests through time management. Rehabilitation counselors should also create opportunities for students with disabilities to have positive experiences with education to increase the students' confidence in their ability to understand and succeed in their area of interest. Supporting deep learning approach through positive experiences may include hands-on activities in the classroom or community, interviewing experts in a topic area to foster curiosity, understanding, and engagement. For example, interviewing professors or experts in the field. Extending learning outside of the classroom to develop a stronger knowledge base. For example, internships, field site tours in the topic area. Supporting self-efficacy, the findings indicated that social cognitive career theory variables partially mediated the relationship between deep learning and goal persistence, may be particularly relevant for designing retention and career development interventions for underrepresented minority students with disability pursuit of advanced education. Specifically, academic barriers, coping, self-efficacy, academic milestone self-efficacy, academic outcome expectancy are strong predictors of goal persistence. Students' self-efficacy and self-efficacy beliefs can be increased by individual or group counseling and academic support services. So therefore, early interventions should be designed to increase teacher and parent expectations, develop strong academic skills in minority students with disabilities, and promote interest in attending college at the primary and secondary school levels are crucial to the academic success of underrepresented minority students with disabilities. For college students with low academic barriers, coping self-efficacy and academic milestone self-efficacy, it's important to provide social support services to encourage students to persevere and overcome barriers. This seems to be as important as providing effective study skills, time management, and remedial and tutoring services. Social support can be fostered by helping students develop empathetic and advocacy skills and educating academic staff and faculty about diversity and disability inclusion issues. This study showed that increasing academic self-efficacy through summer learning institutes, field trips, motivational speakers, role models, and internships would increase outcome expectancy. Since outcome expectancy is significantly associated with career interest and interest is related to goal persistence, increased outcome expectancy will indirectly increase goal persistence. Therefore, summer learning institutes, field trips, motivational speakers, role models, and internships should be incorporated into the academic planning for underrepresented minority students with disability to increase outcome expectations and persistence. Limitations of this study are as follows. First, this study used a cross-sectional survey design and a convenient sample of college students with disabilities, limiting the generalizability of the findings. Also, the majority of participants were from a lower socioeconomic background. This may constrain the generalizability and applicability to other African American students with disabilities. There were self-report instruments used to measure variables in the present study, which increases susceptibility bias and social desirability bias. Cross-sectional convenience sampling methods was used to collect data from a historically Black university. Therefore, no statements about causality and directionality can be made. To further draw practical implications of how deep learning can influence goal persistence, qualitative designs may provide additional insight into how the social cognitive career theory construct can predict goal persistence of African American students with disabilities. In addition, it seems that characteristics of poverty, race, ethnicity, and disability have a negative effect on people with disability in higher education. Minority students with disability are most recently marginalized group to move toward equal opportunity in higher education. Therefore, the deep learning social cognitive career theory framework provides invaluable information and practical guidelines for designing best practice educational and career development services to students with disabilities from racial and ethnic minority backgrounds to increase goal persistence, career development, and job placement. Now, Dr. Madan Kundu will discuss the next two slides.
Thank you for participating in this webinar. If you have any questions, please feel to contact us, Dr. Madan Kundu, KUNDUSUBR @AOL.com, Dr. Kanako Yanaga, IWANAGAK @vcu.edu, Dr. Elizabeth Cardoso, ECARDOSO @hunter, HUNTR, .cuny, CUNY.edu. If you are interested to know more about this topic or want to do research, please see the URL here, the reference, and click on this and it will take you to the website for the abstract, or you can contact us if you have further questions. And this PowerPoint presentation and the script of this presentation is available from www.projecte3.com. Thank you. Bye.